Since this is a Zoom meeting, we won't do the pledge or anything, so we'll move on to our business. The first item is design plans for an addition remodel proposed for 115 Cercado. I actually need to recuse myself from this one, so Dave, can you handle this one?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item A, 115 Cercado Lane, design plans for an addition remodel proposed for that location. Mr. Sanks, would you give us the staff report?
Sure. Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair, board members, members of the public, and staff. Yes, I'll go ahead and do the staff report presentation for 115 Cercado Lane. Just as a note for everyone, I have both the full agenda packet and the full host of exhibits that you also have. I recognize it's a very large file due to the number of items on tonight, as well as the staff report. And I'll go ahead, as I've done before, if you don't mind, share and screen share so that the members of the public can follow along with the illustrations provided by the applicants.
Yes,
Give me one second. All right, it should be sharing. Let me know if you don't see the staff report. All right, so the application for 115 Cercado Lane, I've gone ahead and done a Google Street View of the home. And I also want to double check, is my audio good? You guys good? Looks like it. Okay, as long as you can hear me fine, great. Okay, so you can see the Google Street View of the residence on Cercado Lane at the end of a cul-de-sac, and it actually, it's oriented at an angle facing the street, as often the homes do at the end of the cul-de-sac, and it also backs to Litchfield Road. So what's proposed in this, in the plan set, as we'll get to it, is that it's going to be an exterior remodel, as we've seen before, where the homeowner is seeking to, I suppose, refresh the exterior elevations with, instead of slump block, they'd like to do the smooth finish stucco, and in this case, some stone veneer accents. And within the full packet, you'll see the kind of illustration they've included as an example, with a light body smooth stucco and stone accents. As well, there's some significant roof line changes occurring here. It took me a moment as I reviewed the item to see it, but you can see that the ridge line of the roof is they're more or less lifting it to give it, I imagine, a higher plate height on the interior. And there's an RV garage that's proposed. So if you look to the right of the residence, over where my mouse is, this is where the new garage would be. So this roof line would extend up, go across, and drop down. And they've done a really good job. I think probably one of the best jobs I've seen in terms of kind of subduing the impact of the large RV garage, because not only is it kind of buried into the mass of the home, it's also in this 2D image, you can't see it, but it's actually recessed. So if you were to look down, as I scroll down, you can see the home's orientation on the lot, this Google Earth view. And then you can see the new garage addition here where it's set back. So this turn-in garage here is going to remain. And then this RV garage is going to be kind of planted over here. And you can see through the sketch that they meet the setback requirements. We've also verified that they'll meet the lot coverage requirements. And as illustrated in the elevations, you know, we've looked in the past before as kind of a protocol, if you will, that the RV garage roof line doesn't exceed that of the primary residence. And as you can see, it does not. So the only thing were kind of questioning was the relatively large mass of the central portion of the home and the relatively small amount of windows. We know it's a side turn garage here, so these windows are a side turn garage, and the larger building mass steps back behind this lower ridge roof line. But that was just the only item. I'm not certain that Steph really has a big concern over it. It's just, it's a very large remodel, basically taking the top off the home and putting a whole new lid on it. That said, we're recommending approval of the application pending any further clarification the applicant may want to provide regarding that building massing on the front, as well as what is this item here. It doesn't show up in the footprint. It appears to have a small relief of the front plane of the house, but if you look at the site plan, I don't see a bump out right here. I imagine it's just maybe a foot or so, but if they could explain that, that would help.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Are there any questions of Jason?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Does it anywhere, did you say what the new ridge height would be?
A good question through the chair, board member Dudley. I did actually have a conversation with Pam regarding this. If the applicant can clarify the height, it's not depicted on the elevation. As you know, they're restricted to single story 25 feet in the park. So it looks like they're taking it right pretty close to the limit. to accommodate the height of a RV garage and then have that much roof mass above it.
Okay, any other questions? Is the applicant here or someone from the applicant that wants to speak?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Can you add anything and maybe address Mr. Sank's question?
Which question?
Jason, would you tell him
Certainly.
the question?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Merritt, is that correct?
Right.
Yes, there's just two items. If you can confirm the total building height to the top of this ridgeline for us, that would be great. As well, explain the architectural element that's occurring right here in the central portion of that broad face elevation. That's the side entry garage. Is
That
that
is,
popping out or is that flush?
that's a pop out.
Oh, it is a
That's-
pop out. Okay.
Yes, it's not much. And it's just to break up that long front.
Okay.
When it's not there, it's kind of overcoming just long space.
Got it. Okay. And do you know what the building height is, sir?
I do not know.
Okay. Well, I would just suggest then that we, as typical, with the conditions that we've recommended, if the board supports it, staff would suggest that the condition include, I mean, it's kind of redundant to say it has to meet code because it obviously has to meet code, but ensure that it doesn't exceed I believe the 25-foot maximum height allowed by the zoning district.
Okay. Did you have anything else to add, sir?
I do know it's within the building code, and I believe it's a couple feet below the building code, according to the architect.
If I may clarify for the chair and for board member Dudley, presuming that the door height of the RV garage is either 12 or 14 feet, even if you were to double that, it would appear to be under the 25 feet or under. So he's suggesting that we're at about 23 feet or so. I'm certain that the architect would like to comment, but is in the waiting room. So we'll, I believe it's just in perspective view, we can reasonably ascertain that it meets code.
Okay. Do any of the other board members have any questions or comments?
Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
Just to piggyback on that, Jason, from Ms. Dudley. I mean, do we require to have heights and dimensions on our submittals? I feel like it puts us a little bit in a tough situation to, give a good faith approval or disapproval when we're kind of missing that. So I'm just curious if that's something that we require or.
Completely understood, Board Member O'Connor, through the chair, acting chair. Yes, certainly we require to show a fully completed technical site plan as well as building elevations that generally illustrate building height. We've discussed this in the past. At times we make a concerted effort to work with members of the community that aren't really used to going through this process and others that are. Sometimes in our effort, it comes forward without all of the technical details. So I understand the concern. So, perhaps the homeowner can consult with their architect and confirm the building height if necessary, even right now, via phone, if you'd prefer, so we can settle the issue or something like that. If not, I mean, we can simply add a second condition, shall not, the building heights shall not exceed that, that which is allowed in the zoning district.
If you would like, I can call the architect right now and get her on the line and find out what the height is.
Yeah, if you can, why don't you go ahead? If not, we can, if the vote is to approve, then we can simply add the stipulation.
Okay, we're in the process of calling right now.
Okay.
I have the architect on the line and the height is 24.6.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Marich. The building height is within the limits of the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marich.
You're welcome.
At this point, if there are no other questions or comments, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, Chair.
Go ahead.
I like to do everything I can to help our fellow citizens in Litchfield Park to get these approved. I do request again in the future that we have dimensions on these, but I would like to make a motion that we approve this based off of staff's recommendations.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval, subject to the staff recommendation. And at this point, if there's no further comments, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it and it passes. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And at this point, I believe our chairman should be back very shortly here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. All right, so we're finished with the first item. And
Correct.
moving on with the second item, design plans for a new roof material proposed for 141 Campina Lane. Jason, can you give me your staff report on that?
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I'm getting worried there for a minute. They never said, when, come back next time. Well,
Jason, you're muted.
Yeah,
Talking to myself here, sorry guys. The design plans are for a new roof material for proposed for 141 Campina Circle. I thought it was Circle, maybe it's Lane, but the protocol right now with the design review board is anytime there's a change in roof material from, let's say in this instance, from shingle to a concrete roof, or shingle to a standing seam metal roof, or concrete tile to standing seam metal roof, we always bring it forward to the board. So you might wonder why this wasn't approved administratively. It's because in the past, we always bring roof change material types to the board. So in this instance, if you look at the color of the proposed concrete roof tile, my understanding is that the applicant is well aware that the roof structure itself, although not part of the application and not within the purview of the board, will be strengthened to support the weight of the concrete tile roof, and the new material would be added as a part of, which is the request today. So we're supporting it. We believe that the colors clearly look very similar to the body and trim colors and will complement the rest of the home pretty well. So we're recommending approval subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay, and there's no changes to the roof lines, just the roofing material?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from the board or for the applicant or for staff?
I have a question. The main, like the material of the body of that house, is it brick or is it mostly stucco and then it looks like there's maybe some wainscoting or something on the bottom?
It's brick. It's a brick home.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Would anyone like to propose a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move we approve the application as submitted and in accord with the staff recommendation.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, would everyone in favor say aye or wave?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Okay. Pam, is that good enough for you? I can't hear everybody, so I
Yeah,
didn't hear any
I'm good.
opposed.
No,
Okay.
I didn't
thanks.
either.
Okay, the motion passes then, and it's approved. We'll move on to item C. Design plans for an addition remodel proposed for 413 East Palm. And Jason, do you have your staff report for that?
I do, thank you, Chair. Design plans for addition remodel for 413 East Palm. Really, the application's technically more for an addition rather than a remodel, but they are ensuring that the colors and materials match. So in the packets that you have the full set of exhibits. I've only contained an excerpt showing the new proposed rear building elevation, so you can see best see its scale and context. It's a relatively small addition. It's 234 square feet. It's going to be an exercise room added to the rear of their existing residence. They're going to be doing a remodel of portions of the interior of the residence, but that's not really, it doesn't impact the exterior elevations. So that said, the proposed addition will not be visible from the street, and as shown on the exhibits, the colors and materials of the addition are proposed to match those of the residents with that siding material that you see there in the red circle. I've circled that area so you can see the focus of where the addition is and that the rest of the home is noted as existing to remain. So that said, we've recommended approval of the application subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant and the standard condition of all of those items matching the existing residence.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I had a question about the materials of the rest of the home.
Okay.
This is in the back, so it's not going to show from the front, but just, is it similar in style and materials and colors to the rest of the house?
So the main house is block home and everything on the back is 2x6. And the reason why, I just explain a little bit further why it's an addition remodel. The back portion of the house was a prior expansion before I purchased the home. And my understanding is not permitted and wanted to be included in the square footage.
Okay. Any questions from the board for the applicant or staff? No? If there's no questions, does anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed addition at 413 East Palm Street, subject to the recommendations of the staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, it passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And next up, my agenda again. Sorry. Design plans for an addition remodel proposed for 4838 North Litchfield Knoll East. Jason, do you have your staff report for this?
I do. Thank you, Chair. So the proposal on this residence at 4838 North Litchfield Knoll East is to add about 416 square feet of additional livable space to the front of the residence. I provided a Google Earth view of it. I finally figured out how to show you the front of a residence when in a private gated community, since they can't do the street view. I can zoom in from a satellite. So you can see that the addition will be located over here within the circled area, so clearly visible from the street. So we're paying close attention to ensure that roof lines, colors, materials, finishes, massing, etc., window fenestration treatments, all of those things are taken into account since it'll be highly visible. And in the application materials provided by the applicant, they made it clear that their intention is to do just that. If you look down below, you can see the proposed site plan view. So it'll be, the addition will be kind of hugging the corner of the house over here in the circle. And the floor plans are in your exhibit packet. It just shows 2 relatively small bedrooms, closets, hallway, and a small storage space. Colors, materials are intended to match. We believe it's well integrated to the existing residence, will add value to the residents and surrounding neighborhood. Staff's recommending approval of the application subject to the standard condition of colors, materials, etc., matching the existing residence.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The only question I had is that there in the one corner is the gas and electric.
So
that-
yes, the electric panel is actually on the front right-hand corner of the house. And the addition comes out forward of it and kind of wraps around, but it maintains the required clearance from the face of the electric panel outward. So it's not being covered up. It's just around the corner from the addition.
Okay,
And there's no gas located on that side.
okay. Do any of the board members have questions for the applicant or for staff? Hearing none. Anybody want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we approve the remodel addition per the recommendation of staff.
A second? Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second? Is there any further discussion? No. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, it's approved, pass. Okay, the next one is proposed amendment to the design plans previously approved for 565 Campina Drive to include a new building addition and Casita accessory structure. Jason, you have a report for this one?
Yes, thank you, Chair, board members, and applicant. So this project has been in front of the board fairly recently, I believe last December. And at that time, they were doing addition remodel. And on the plan set, they had intended to show a casita that exceeded the 500 square foot allotment for an accessory structure. And so at that time, they dropped that request from the proposal and got the rest of the project going. And you can even see the construction bin that's out front. So they were able to make some progress on their overall design. Since that time, they've worked to downsize the casita in the back to exactly the 500 square foot limit allowed by the accessory structure. The casita is located within the main building setbacks, so we don't have any issues in regards to setbacks or lot coverage. Staff has verified that it meets those development standards. Further, the Casita does match the residence in regards to the same colors, materials, and finishes, at least as displayed on the exhibits. And generally speaking, the exterior of the home is largely the same as what the board had already approved. There's a small addition proposed for a mudroom and a expanded pantry on the front that's in the set, but mostly the request is related to there's the mudroom there. The guest suite over here is really the focus of the request. And I apologize, Pam. The new addition for the game room in the back, we discussed this earlier. You sent me the plans for what was approved in December, and I can't recall if that addition at that time was included in December, if it's part of this request. It is obscured from public view, but if it wasn't already approved, then it would be on for tonight's approval.
It was not part of the previous request. It is a new addition.
Okay, so the house has continued to grow. I get it. Perfect. Thank you. So that said, staff is recommending approval of the applications subject to the exhibits provided by the applicant with the standard condition as stated in the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. A quick question. I saw the two garages on the plan, on the site plan are shown connected, but in the picture, they're not in the photograph. Is that coming up or is it just connected with the roof? Is that?
Chair, that's a great question. I think it appears to be somewhat connected by a small roof structure to probably meet the requirement of not having more than 500 feet of detached accessory structure on the property. If you don't mind, I would defer to the applicant to clarify. But I believe they're connected by a small roof structure.
Okay, is the applicant present? Not hearing. Is someone here to speak for the applicant? You may have to unmute. Pam, do you know if they're present or in the waiting room? Am I muted? No.
Yeah, I believe the applicant for the owner of the project, when this was first brought to us with one of our common applicants, general contractor that does the large home remodels. I believe they've switched hands on the project. I'm not certain if that new contractor is present or not, or if the owner is present.
Okay.
I believe Pam's checking.
Looks like they're not present at this time. I can try to contact them and.
If you'd like to as well, Pam, I can do a quick Google Street View search and try to zoom in if you would prefer. I can see if I can answer the question for us right now. I'm just going to be in a different screen for a second.
I guess that it's just something we probably, to handle the zoning limits of the standalone would have to be connected. So if it's not now, then it would have to be.
If I might add, I can't speak for the applicant, of course, but I have driven by this property and I believe that it is connected basically probably in a way just to meet that connection. There is a little bit of a kind of a roof.
Connection.
Thank you, Board Member Dudley, and through the chair. I'm on the street view and I'm rotating it and it is connected by a small roof structure.
Okay.
It's not much better than the picture in the staff report. It's almost the same angle, but it's flipping.
Since the applicant isn't present, normally we usually continue it, but I don't know if anyone has any strong thoughts about approving it or not. Does anyone have a request to continue, or do you want to? If everyone's in favor of it.
I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the reason that this was passed over in the past? Was it
I think we approved it, but it's been changed.
The previous application was approved except for the Casita because the Casita was over the size allowed for an accessory structure. So they've reduced the size of the casita, and I was told added the addition in the back to help make up for that lost space that was going to be in the casita. I can try and contact the applicant if you'd like to perhaps move on to another application and see if she can join us.
Yeah, we can
Or-
put this at the end of the agenda and move on, and then if she can speak for it, just to be fair, because we've put other people off for not being present.
Okay, I'll do that.
We'll just continue, we'll just move this to the end of the agenda to finish it and just move on to the next item. And that is, where am I? Design plans for the addition of a roof parapet wall proposed for 404 South Cabrito Circle. And Jason, you can give us your report on this one?
Certainly, thank you, Chair. So the application is relatively straightforward. There's been a little bit of, as I spoke with Pam today, I believe there's been a little bit of work done on the property. The interest of the property owner was to, on a flat roofed residence, existing residence, was to add some duct work, presumably for HVAC sort of equipment and air circulation within the residence. And the owner is seeking per code requirements to screen the ductwork from view with a 30-inch tall parapet to add to their roof line so that you won't see the ductwork. It's also not allowed through code, though, to have a new roof-mounted HVAC equipment, but I don't believe there's a specific prohibition that would preclude them from having ductwork. It's just that they can't have the actual system up there. So I'm not certain what the solution is for that, but that said, reviewing the application for what's been presented to us and that it's just a parapet to screen ductwork, we would support the request subject to the requirements that the colors, materials, finishes seamlessly integrate with the existing architecture so that you don't see kind of a rough or uncohesive seam between the new parapet and the existing structure. So with that said, I'll scroll down a little bit further. Their notes do say that it will be integrated into the existing home's architecture by utilizing the same colors and materials and finishes of the residents. We would also we've added the standard condition to ensure that occurs. I've included some enhanced language that says that the new parapet shall be seamlessly integrated into the existing residence's exterior walls for an even finish. And then also item number 2, that the applicant shall coordinate all necessary building permits with the city's building safety department. I just wanted to have those conditions added. It's typical that they would have to follow those requirements, but in this case, we just wanted to ensure that it was clear through the design review board action that there were other steps to be followed. We have to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the board members have questions for Jason or for the applicant?
I have a question real quick, sorry.
Uh-huh.
So the ductwork is already there, right? Like the pictures that are in the report are of the actual house and ductwork.
And through the chair, board member Dudley, that's correct. The aerial image that I have from Google Earth is a bit outdated. I believe the ductwork was recently done, and the property owner is trying to make things right in regards to the permitting and review process, as well as the design review side of screening the ductwork.
Okay. And is there a unit on the roof already, or this is just the ductwork that's being concealed?
Chair, I'm not aware that there's a unit on the roof. I may need to ask Pam if she's aware of what's occurred with the building safety team. I have not personally inspected the property, but maybe she can elaborate. Sorry, Pam, to put you on the spot. I know you're running the meeting.
That's all right. I'm not aware of any of the unit being on the roof, and I did ask our building official who put the stop work order on the house when the ductwork was seen, And she is not aware of any unit being on the roof at this time.
Okay. And for the applicant, you don't intend to place a unit on the roof?
No, the unit's actually on the ground in the backyard. It's just the ductwork on the top.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Would someone like to propose a motion?
Sure, I will make a motion. I move that we approve the roof addition and based off of staff recommendations that all new addition items will match existing items.
I know that part of the part, I'm gonna pause the motion, but part of the house is block and part stucco, and the parapet will be stucco. Is that correct?
Yes, the parapet will be stucco to match the house roofing.
Okay, because unless I'm seeing the pictures wrong, part of the roof or part of the exterior wall is block, a block wall.
I'm sorry, this
Yeah.
made me think of another question. May I ask one?
Yeah.
So if you're gonna match existing color, that would be painted then, right? So do you intend to repaint the entire house or just try to match?
Yeah, we're actually going to be repainting the whole entire house. The roofing is going to be a darker gray, so it's going to all be cohesive.
So the main body of the house, is it gonna remain that kind of salmon color, or is that changing to the gray?
That is going to change to a whitish gray, and then the darker rooftop is going to be a gray.
Okay. I guess my point was just at the place where the block turns into stucco. I don't know if you're changing materials, it's a good time to change colors too. I'm not sure if that or if there's any other options there. So the detail just shows a stucco. I think that's where the must have been a carport that's been filled in. Oop. Are there any other questions? I guess we'll just have to, yeah. Okay, see part of the wall is block and part is stucco. And if you're going up with stucco, yeah. So that was, I'm trying to see, yeah, right there too. So part stucco, part block, and then those look like former columns if that used to be an open space.
So is that all gonna become basically one color there, where it's like, are you gonna paint the block?
Yes, the block's going to be painted as well as the stucco. It's all going to be the same color.
Okay.
Or white.
I think where the parapet, right now there's kind of a fascia that goes across. That must be wood. So if you're doing a parapet across, I think it should it's gonna be funny if it just lines up perfectly and then changes materials from block to stucco without maybe either coming forward a little bit. To make it look, it's going to be different, then make it different.
So I'm sorry, are you saying that the parapet then should kind of bump out? Am I understanding?
That's what I'm thinking. Above the block, it should pop. It should extend out or recede back, one or the other.
Are you able to pull up the design that we had sent over to you guys, because it shows it being pulled out forward? There we go. Thank you.
It shows flush on the stucco. It doesn't show where the block would be. That's like on top of wood. is that detail.
Chair, if I may, my understanding then is, as opposed to it being really relatively a flush system, like let's say we're facing the garage, which should be obviously facing this direction. Oh, I've got multiple screens going, sorry. But like if you're facing the street, from the street, you would like to see a kind of a little bit of a ridge, if you will, like a
Only
couple inches
if
of
it's
relief.
block, only if it's unstuccoed block.
Okay,
But if they're gonna stucco over everything, then it's fine to line it up and stucco over everything. But if they're leaving the block, then I think there should be a little bit of a reveal.
if I may, Chair, I would have to ask the applicant if their intention was to actually stucco over the slump block. I wasn't aware of that request in the review of the item. If their intention is to basically stucco the entire exterior of the home and repaint it in this off-white color that they've stated, perhaps they would need to clarify. I wasn't aware that we were going to have slump block with stucco over it. I thought it was just a parapet request.
We were going to leave the block itself, so not stuccoing that, but just stuccoing the parapet wall itself.
Okay. Do you understand? It's if you have like either come out in front of the block or recess behind it a little bit.
I certainly do, from a chair, if I may, from a staff perspective, if your interest is to move the item forward with the direction to staff to review for where the parapet meets the slump block wall that's existing, that you would like a relief either like a couple inches either to the interior or to the exterior to provide a relief, we could review for that through the building set.
Yeah.
And then where it's stucco meets stucco, it would be a seamless finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board members to the applicant or to staff? Hearing none, would someone like to propose a motion?
I'll propose that we approve the proposed roof parapet wall at 404 South Cabrito Circle, subject to clarification of the detail where the block meets the stucco and staff approval of that.
You have a motion. Is there a second? Any other, is there a question?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes. Okay, moving forward with, so I gotta go all the way back to the beginning. We're on the second page. Oh, site architectural landscape and lighting plans proposed for new self-storage facility to be located within the Monument Point Center located at the southwest corner of El Mirage and Camelback Roads. Jason, would you give us your review, please?
Certainly, thank you, Chair, board members, and I believe the applicant is also present. I have the on a separate screen, if necessary, I can stop share the report if we want to see the more detailed exhibits. This is a relatively large scale project proposal for the design review board. We recognize there's a number of items for your review related to the project. Some history on the project. The applicant initially approached staff a few months ago, at least, in regards to this project, brought forward some initial design plans that showed basically the same facility that you see in the pictures. It's been slightly changed, modified just a bit. And their proposal is to bring a second self-storage facility to the city of Litchfield Park. As you know, we already have one located at start in Camelback. It's now CubeSmart. It came forward as a Heinz project. It was a developer, and then it's been managed by CubeSmart. This facility will be, as you can see, fully all indoors. There's no outdoor storage of vehicles or boats or RVs at this time. There are exterior access units. You can see those in the building elevations where there are roll-up doors for those that want to pull up to the side of the building and load and offload items, personal items, or even maybe vehicles if the units are large enough to house a vehicle. And then there is a unique drive-through facility, which I'll get to in just a moment, but I wanted to show you the site aerial of Monument Point. We've seen a lot of activity there recently. So the 3 lots, we've, kind of this excerpt from the application page just shows the 3 lots that are going to be combined to a replat application that's currently under staff review. We'll ultimately go to council to create a single parcel out of the 3 lots. So it would bring them all together and essentially be creating a through lot between El Mirage and 124th Avenue. The site plan, I'll scroll down and kind of talk through what's occurring here. I'm hoping you can see it fairly well on your screen as it's been embedded in the report. But you have El Mirage Road over here on the east side. Then you have the required landscape setback along El Mirage Road. They've made a concerted effort to ensure that no more than 50% of the area is retaining and the rest of it's high and dry landscaping, so it's visible. Their screen wall will match that of the Burger King. They're going to tie into cross access to the Burger King, which is existing up into their property line. And essentially you can see here the Burger King stubbed out so that we could have cross access and properly managed driveway access to El Mirage Road so that the parcels are sharing drives at intermittent locations where it's safe to enter and exit to El Mirage as an arterial roadway. The office is located here facing El Mirage Road. This is the leasing office where the management will, more or less, staff will be there during operational hours. And then there's not an on-site residence that we're aware of. It'll be professionally managed, but I'm not aware that there's an apartment in the facility. That seems to be the trend away from the mini storage facilities, is to do away with the apartment units. The parking for the facility has been met. 21 spaces are required based on an informal zoning interpretation. Since our code is silent on parking requirements for self-storage, we determined a code requirement through the Heinz project, and we applied it to this one and for the sake of consistency with zoning ordinance application. So with 1 space per 50 units and then 1 space for 300 gross floor area of the office area, they're required to provide 21 spaces, and they have provided 21 spaces. On-site circulation is relatively simple. You've got the shared drive here, the new driveway that's going to be down here, and cross access provided. Circulation behind the security gates occurs where you can circle around the building. And then they have this interesting through lane. It's just different. I've worked on a lot of self-storage facilities, so they're going to have a through lane so that people can pass actually through the building on the ground level, of course. The rear of the property will be dust-proofed at this time. It's a bit of a kind of an excess, if you will, of the parcel that doesn't have an intended use just yet that I'm aware of. We'd initially thought that this would be where they may try to propose RV parking or boat parking, those sorts of things. In some ways take some pressure off of what we see as the push to put RVs on lots, on residential lots. So sometimes it can be a good thing to have our industrial parks have a provision to allow places for RVs to go so they're not in our neighborhood. But in this case, they're pausing on that as far as I'm aware, and we've asked to make sure that they've just simply dust-proof this surface. It's an interim solution. Any future development of that property will require a design review board application. They are required to provide the required Monument Point design guidelines, landscaping along their 124th Avenue frontage. And they have provided that in the landscape plans in your packet. The building elevations, sorry, the red, there's a lot of text here. I've kind of been talking through most of what's in this text just in my discussion with you. This is a large building. It's going to have a presence on El Mirage Road. I think there's no doubt that 129,000 square feet, 3-story building is going to have a presence on El Mirage Road. So it shouldn't come as a surprise should the board approve it and it be constructed that it's going to have a massing presence. But I did want to let the board know that we have looked at the development standards for the industrial district closely, and we've also married that with the design guidelines adopted for Monument Point Business Park. to ensure that building heights and building setbacks, landscaping, colors, materials, cross access, parking, and other development standards have been met with the facility as proposed. And we believe the architect and applicant for the project, the design team on the developer side has done a nice job in doing what they can to mitigate the inherently large building mass of the self-storage building that it's by its own nature going to have not very many windows since it's storage. So that said, we're happy to answer questions on the project. We've been actively working back and forth with the architect over the last 2 months, so I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Do any of the board members have questions for the applicant or for Jason?
I have a question about signage. It looks like in the application it says it's a separate thing, so I just wanted to ask if there is intended to be signage on the building, or was it going to be in front? Or?
And thank you, Chair, and to the board. I mean, sorry, let me get that right. To the Chair, Board Member Dudley. Yes, and in the first review of the package, we did ask for them to show the prospective sign band for the building, and they have done so. Unfortunately, it's a little grainy, but I'll use my mouse to show you where the sign band is going to be. So the wall signage would be located right here. It's subject to code requirements in regards to sign area, so that would be under separate permit. And I don't believe that they're doing a monument for this. I'll need to do, let me look at the site plan really quick. Usually they would have a monument, but the building is so large, it kind of serves as its own monument. Let me zoom in.
Good evening. My name is Gary Delaney. I'm the developer. We are not planning on having a monument sign.
Thank you, Gary. I recall you saying that. I was just double checking the site plan to make sure there wasn't one noted, but that's correct. There is no monument.
Yeah, there is not. And obviously our building signage will meet code.
Thank you. Any other board members have questions?
I just have a comment. I find the building to be an attractive looking building for the use. So I think, for all intents and purposes, it's a good looking building for, being 3 stories and such. So there's at least some interesting factors to it.
Yeah, thank you. And you can thank our architect who's on here, Jim Chapman there. We tried to blend into a community and make our buildings look like, office or, buildings that don't just look like a big blank box or a bunch of drive-up doors.
Yes, I agree. I think it's a very interesting building, and it's nice to see some, even though they're not, I don't know if they're truly windows, but there's some glass that give the appearance of being windows. So
no, a lot of it is true glass. There are some areas that have some spandrel, but most of it is actual glass. And like at the end of hallways and things, we like to put a glass to kind of help the customers orientate themselves. People get inside of self-storage facilities sometimes, and the multi-storage ones, and they kind of get lost. So we try to orientate themselves with having, some visual keys on, where north, south, east, and west, and where outside is.
yeah, that's good. Any other questions from board members? None. Any questions on site planning or building materials, colors? Sorry that it's hard for me to see the light posts. Are we kind of in standard with the other Monument Point lighting?
Yes, we are.
Chair, yes, that was one of the first review comments that we had for the applicant, was to ensure the pole style, lighting, lumen type and temperature, landscape palette, et cetera, all blended with the rest. So we didn't have kind of the hodgepodge, if you will, of site to site being different.
Okay.
And everyone's computer is going to be different, but are these colors on the plans pretty close to what you're hoping it's going to end up looking like?
Well, that's a little tough, yeah, with the colors, but they're neutral. and they are copacetic with, the valley and with Monument Point colors. It's grays and tans and earth tone.
And have you built one of these in the valley? Is there another location that you have something similar, or is this?
No, I can't point to one here in the valley. We have one under construction right now in Las Vegas and one in planning there, but I can't actually point to something here. This is kind of a little bit of a unique product because of the fact of the drive-through loading area. It's a one-way drive through the middle of the building, and customers can pull into a climate-controlled environment to load and unload their goods and household items. So it's a little bit different product than most of what you see here.
I had a question on that. I've done a long time ago, did a project where there was a drive under, presents a lot of fire code issues and exhaust ventilation issues. So
yes,
I'm sure that's not our job to review, but something I'm sure
No,
you're
but-
aware.
Yeah, those have all been taken into consideration, and we've done this several times in other projects. And the fire marshal, we definitely make sure that we're meeting all code and their requirements. There's fresh air handlers and makeup air, and to make sure there's no CO2 buildup or anything like this. So yes, definitely.
Okay, so I imagine that's the gate that you go through is open for ventilation then?
No,
Or is,
people pull into the building. If they're a current customer, they would enter their code. The gate would go up. They would pull inside the building, either pull up to a unit that's along the drive aisle or pull up to the elevator area to load and unload. But there are CO2 sensors in that area, and that area that's encompassing the drive aisle has a 2-hour fire rating on it, and has CO2 sensors, so that if it gets to a point where the CO2 starts to get above the set level, then it automatically kicks in, bringing in fresh air to mitigate that.
okay. And then on the one, there's a bright red section. Is that indicating something?
Well, what
Like
that
a-
is it's a one-way aisle. You drive one way. So one way is a pass through, and the other side is where you pull over to the side and park if you're going to load or unload. But if you're passing through, you would be on the right-hand side. If you're loading, you would go to the left-hand side.
No, I meant on the other elevation, there's a red
Oh,
square.
the red is just no, that's just really, the color's not really that bright red. It's just just to kind of break up the monotony of the different colors, just a different color scheme. It has nothing to do with any type of emergency or anything like this. It's just
Okay,
the color palette just comes out a little redder than what it really is.
okay.
Kind of a random question. You have quite a rooftop. Any plans for solar?
We're looking into that. Solar kind of goes back and forth as to affordability. But yes, we are definitely looking into solar.
And then the other thing I noticed, a couple of the roof downspouts kind of empty right in front of one of the exterior bay doors. Like I wouldn't want to rent those units, but.
Well, actually, the slope of the drive, it sheet flows, so it flows down. It flows down toward away from it very quickly. So
Okay.
that's not that doesn't present a problem for the customer.
Okay.
We've done this numerous times.
If I may share, I just wanted to elaborate that when we had a discussion staff did with the applicant in regards to the possible internalization of the downspout simply due to visibility. But, and we were also concerned that people would bump them and damage them with trucks. I mean, people would swing in U-Hauls around, but you can see they've got a series of also bollards. So a combination of their assurance on the drainage side, as well as the protection of the downspouts, with them being on the sides of the building rather than directly on the front elevation facing El Mirage, where we wouldn't support seeing something like, the underbelly of the building, if you will, exposed to it kind of fits in with the rest of the kind of geometric of the architecture. We didn't have a problem with it.
And the downspouts will be painted whatever color the building is at that point.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Hearing none, would someone like to propose a motion? There's no further questions.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Thanks.
I
Frank.
move, I move that we approve the application for Monument Point, and based off of the staff recommendations, we approve the project.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we are back to. The next is design plans for new restroom facilities proposed to be located within Litchfield Square, our city center. Jason, would you give your report on this one?
Thank you, Chair. I'll do a brief report. And then, of course, Woody Scouten, Development Services Director and Project Manager for the City Centers with us tonight to kind of elaborate, but I'll just do a quick intro. So as you know, the City Center development, the city-led aspect of the infrastructure, streets, the centralized park area, and other amenities is planned development is well underway, which will include restrooms in the park area as shown in the illustration of the site plan and as well as in your packet. If you need the additional exhibits, I have those, again, the agenda packet open on another screen and can toggle my screen share, or if Woody has it to share as well, I'll turn it over to him. But essentially, per requirements, there are buildings proposed in the city center that need to come to the board. They're part of a larger park area development. The park area is not being presented, I don't believe, to the board tonight, just the bathroom buildings at this time. I'm not certain if the park area is ready yet. I'll let Woody address that. But as required, any development within the city center zoning district, of which this is a part, is required to meet the city center design guidelines that are integrated in the zoning ordinance as part of the text amendment that was done to accommodate city center development. And they've hit all the points of the architecture, the colors, the materials, the themes, the connectivity, the seating, all of that stuff has been addressed as far as we can tell from the plan set. So certainly staff, as the applicant, on behalf of the city, supports the application, and I can turn it over to Woody if he wants to elaborate further.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Woody Scouten, City Engineer. I am the applicant for this project, and with us tonight is Vince DeBella of Adaptive Architects, who is the designer of the project, and we also have Tom Snyder and Lauren Reeves of EPS Group, who is the overall design engineer and landscape architect for the project. So I'll just, Jason has pretty well covered it, so I think we'll just see if there's any questions and try to answer those for you.
Okay, thank you. I reviewed this yesterday, I think. The only question I had was there's appears to be doors or some gates that close off the interior entrances, and I don't see what those look like.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe you're referring to the fact that this design has a breezeway between
Yes.
the two buildings. Yeah. And there will be gates at both ends of the breezeway, and I don't know if we have any architectural details on those gates. as yet. Maybe Vince can.
Yeah, that's correct. So they're not specifically detailed at this point. They are part of the overall park concept where there are some other grill features, trellis features that are, the intent is to integrate that design of the gates with those other elements of the park. So that it's another connection point to the balance of the park development. So yes, they are going to be gates there. The intent is to be able to secure that internal breezeway that connects kind of the north and south side of the parkway. And they will be designed to match the balance of the park details.
I think my only concern there was just looking at what I could see, that they look like they're something that could be climbed over or under. And that was one concern I would have for security, that not be able to happen there.
Yes, point taken. And that was all the other reason for having the gates at those locations, is to be able to secure that area. So we will do our best to address that.
Well, and one thing, Madam Chair, is the breezeway is covered by, I don't know the architectural term for it, but it has railings or bars going across the top of the open area of the breezeway. So the gates would prevent somebody from climbing into that area, because they would, get close enough to those bars that would essentially seal off the.
Yeah. So they're trellis elements that provide shade in that breezeway. It also connects to the south side where it faces the park side. And the trellis elements are some design features already in the design guidelines that EPS group has pulled together. And we're going to integrate with that design theme.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was just just knowing how easy vandalism can happen if you provide a place where people can kind of hide out, and if they can get in there at night, then there'll be some problems there.
Yeah, in one of the perspective views, you can see those trellis elements a little bit better. Who's controlling it, Jason?
Yeah.
If you could scroll back the other way. Yeah, so right there, you can see the trellis elements going across the opening between the buildings. No, right there, yeah. So that would prevent somebody from getting into the breezeway, unless they had a acetylene torch with them or something.
Okay.
So, and Madam Chair, I just wanted to say that, and I think you're aware of this, that we had another design without the breezeway, and we weighed the pros and cons of each design, and we felt that this was a better design because it allows access to the restrooms from the north as well as the south. So people coming in from the northern part of the city center would not have to walk around the building to get into the restroom. And we felt that was important.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like the plan in general. Yeah.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I do really appreciate, and I do really like the design and everything as well. I have a question more of like functionality or usability of it. And did you guys, or how did you come to the conclusion, or did you consider, instead of a share, does it look like a shared men's restroom and a shared women's? Did you consider doing, single door access to, for lack of a better word, the stall or the toilet? Does that question make sense?
I think you're like this day and age, so everyone wants either a family or a total, I see the one family restroom.
Vince, maybe you should outline just what's in the building there.
Sure. So the entrances for both the bathroom sets, the women's on the left and the men's on the right, is through that common breezeway. So the entrance points are kind of this little alcove area that allows you entrance to each set through this common breezeway. And then there's a family restroom that's provided as well for that family environment. So it is a common connection point two separate points of entry. In the previous, another design we had without the breezeway, there were separate entrances from the south side. But in this concept, it's common with that breezeway that connects the north and south park areas.
And was your question, Brian, more that in this day and age, where a lot of public restrooms are going more towards unisex, where each
Yes. Thank you. That's exactly where I was going. Did you guys consider having, there's a lot of square footage there. Did you consider having, 6 unisex bathrooms with their own doors?
Yeah. So what we're trying to accommodate, remember, this is part of an overall park area that is going to have activities. So we were trying to accommodate a fixture count that would accommodate right around 400 people on a kind of a daily use. So it was a bit of a numbers game to try and provide as much capacity in a common shared environment versus individual bathrooms, which are just not real efficient. It would chew up a lot of space, and meeting all the ADA requirements and all the other requirements related to that. So this landed on the most efficient piece. And then one thing that it's not labeled here, we should have done a better job on labeling this plan, but this larger square that's on the upper left, that's actually the pump facility for the water features that are associated with the park. So not only is it public bathrooms, we are providing a pumping storage location for all that equipment that is related to the water features. And then we also have some ancillary use like a janitor's closet and some other integrated communication room use as well. So we're just trying to make the most efficient footprint that we could and get as much coverage on the plumbing fixtures that we can.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board members?
Is the intent to have this conditioned, these bathrooms conditioned?
Yes, air conditioned, yes. Moderately, mind you.
Not comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that units there for on the parapet, behind the parapets, or?
The air conditioning units?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple options. We're leaning towards roof mounted behind the parapet. Would probably be the simplest way to handle it. If we start doing some split systems with ground mounted units, then we have a vandalism thing to kind of deal with. And so right now we're planning on rooftop units.
Okay. I think I've been using lately a lot of the mini splits. They seem pretty efficient.
Yes, we have a couple options to look at when we get into the final aspects of developing all the technical aspects of it.
And one more thing to point out, board chair members and staff. This is Tom Snyder with EPS Group, and you'll see this. I think you've seen some of this in the context of the park itself, and we'll be presenting next month on some of the materials and some of the programming for the park as well. So we're excited to share more of the park with you. But one thing this does not show is the connection point to the north of that breezeway, and we've added that into the program. But the intent of the breezeway was really great of connecting that north promenade to the restrooms, as well as the main park entrance. And that'll be kind of the gateway into the entire park with the kind of sidewalk coming in and trellis structures. And there's a park, playground equipment that's an aviation park, which is, again, we're excited to present this to you as well next month. But a lot of kids and families will be around that area and coming into the park. So it's a very easy access to get back into the restroom facility to the north, as well as to the south and the north promenade.
Well, yeah, what Tom was trying to say so eloquently was that When the kids have to go to the bathroom, they got to go to the bathroom. So it's going to be a lot faster for them to get in through the north end of the breezeway.
One other question is, for me, lighting. For exterior lighting, for safety and illumination.
Yeah, so they're definitely, that will be integrated with the building design as well as the overall park aesthetic. And then the other part of it will be the graphics package to, I don't want to call it signage, but we want to integrate, restroom facilities, just appropriate signage elements to the building. The building was really designed as a background or backdrop to the wonderful park setting that EPS Group is developing in the overall concept. So we didn't want to compete with that, but we will have area lighting around the building. We'll pick out the appropriate fixtures that complement and integrate with the rest of the park.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I like the look of it. I think it looks really good, and I think it fits really well with what we're looking to do in the park with the other plans I've seen. My question is timing. Once this is approved, what is the timing to have this installed?
Yeah, let me answer that. Councilman Claire, the park will be built with, you've heard this term GMP 4. Which will probably be presented to the council late this year, probably November timeframe. By the time we finish all of these designs, we would go through these processes with DRB and the other commissions and boards. We'll probably be bringing GMP 4 to the council late this year. So the park in its entirety, including the restroom, and possibly the second restroom, it depends on financing, will be under construction early next year.
Thank you, Woody. I just wanted clarity for everybody.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I also kind of being able to digest this in small pieces rather than having everything at us all at once. It makes it easier, and we can remember this when it comes to fitting that in with the rest of the park design and any other structures that are going to be proposed.
Can we make a motion to go ahead and approve this?
Yes. I'll call for the motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve based on staff recommendation.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Pam, did you get a hold of our other applicant?
No, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to reach the applicant.
So I'll leave it up to the board. I think we've seen the project before. If anyone feels comfortable to approve it without the applicant's presence, we can do that, or we can table it.
I would move that we approve it. I think if it truly was the only reason we didn't approve it the previous time was because the additional unit was larger than 500 square feet. I think I'm comfortable with approving it based off of staff recommendations.
I have to agree. We saw it before, and much of the things that have changed are not, except for the small bit up front, it doesn't really change the street view. So I call for a motion. If anyone, unless someone objects, I'll call for the motion to approve.
I make the motion that we approve it based off of staff recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. And then, let's see, what do we got? I guess we're at staff report for current events.
Thank you, Chair, board members. I'll just keep it brief. I know we've had a long agenda and most of the current events were on your agenda, it seems like. We have had other inquiries in Monument Point, just heads up, possibly looking at another storage facility. This one would be for recreational vehicles. It was just an inquiry. There's been a lot of inquiries on other parcels within Monument Point, so we might anticipate seeing other development there. Other than that, I don't believe we have any other updates for Dysart and Camelback in regards to permitting over there, unless Pam has anything off the top of her head. But that's pretty much all I've got right now.
Thank you. Pam, do you have anything?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Do any board members have any current events? No? Okay. We have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.